So tell me about the regenerative farming. When did the idea first hit you, and what's been your work like in it?
So I spent my whole life living in urban environments. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, then I moved to New York City to do my college career and brief career in business in New York, and then I moved to Los Angeles. So I've lived in all these big cities, and after having lived in Los Angeles for the last 25 years, my partner and I, happened upon this kind of broken down, dilapidated farm in Carpinteria, California on a weekend trip we were doing once. And we were like, hey, I'm in the movie business. And I saw this movie, The Biggest Little Farm. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
That was a great movie, actually. Yeah, that was really cool.
It's a fantastic documentary, and I was very inspired by it. Same story of kind of film and TV business folks who got out of LA to start a farm. And so I'm always been kind of intrigued with the romanticism of just sort of being on the farm. I have no experience, never driven a tractor, don't know how to repair a water line, have never been out into the elements. And so we just dove in, bought this broken down farm. And for the last 3.5 years, we have been slowly and carefully trying to bring it back to life. And it's been quite an enlightening experience, but also a life-altering experience in terms of my perspective on life.
So were you involved directly with The Biggest Little Farm?
I wasn't involved in it. I just saw the film. I seen it a couple of times. I was inspired by it.
It was really inspiring. I thought it was amazing that each time they had a problem, let's say snails or slugs, they got ducks in there to eat them, and then they had a problem with something else, and something else came and ate that. So I thought it would never end.
Yeah, it's like biodynamic farming. Yeah, it all kind of works together in an amazing ecosystem.
I thought in the movie, I was like, man, when is this going to end? They're going to keep having more problems, but then it stopped and it got better. But it was amazing to see the transformation from the land when they first got there to how beautiful it became, all the things it produced. It was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a marketer, so I also marvel at the marketing genius they had to film their entire journey and put it out. And now, I mean, they have all kinds of products they make. It's called Apricot Lanes Farms. And, that movie catapulted them into a multi-million-dollar business. So I think it's a pretty big stroke of genius.
That's cool. So how much do you know about regenerative farming? Like, I'm sure some people would say, all farming should be regenerative farming. I mean, can it be, or is it really is it going to remain like a minority percentage of all the farming that's done?
Wow. Why don't you start with the tough questions, Rich? I think what I've discovered, my limited knowledge, is that it's very hard to define what regenerative farming actually means. But at its core, it means that you're a no-till farm. So I have some neighbors that made another fantastic documentary called Common Ground. I recommend everybody to watch, which is, can you do big agriculture and use regenerative practices? And that really means, like, in our culture in the U.S., we started with sort of just big agriculture of turning crops over and planting the same crop season over season. And what happens is you deplete the soil. So, the Dust Bowl is one of the consequences that happen when they're just destroying the microbiome of the soil. And so I think regenerative farmers do not like to plant and replant the same crop, and they don't like to till or disc the soil. We had a slightly different approach to that, which is that we needed to disc the soil to actually breathe life into it. So our soil was so bad that we had to plant 2 cover crops, which are just a mixture of biomass of different, plants, and they grow for 6 months or so, and then you cut them down and kind of till them or disc them back into the soil, so the nitrogen and nutrients go back into the soil. And we had to do that twice. It took over a year just to do that.
And it changed from the ground to be able to take other fertilizers and other plants and be sustainable, or start it off.
Yeah, exactly.
It was necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need there's no plant life, there's no worms, there's no insects in the soil, you have a problem. And if there's no nitrogen in the soil, you have a problem. So you're not going to be able to grow very much. And I don't know what the farmer before us did, but it was an organic farm. So I know they didn't spray pesticides, because we had that tested as well. Or I shouldn't say the outlawed pesticides. You are allowed to spray certain herbicides and pesticides when you're an organic farmer, which is kind of a contradiction people don't understand as well. But our soil came back to life after a year.